going to tuck it as tight in as I can get so that it's as crease free as possible along the bottom. I'll warn you guys right now, it's going to be a little bit messy on the bottom part. Oh, hey guys, I was just building some target sticks for my ultimate bow training for my local classes. While you guys are here, why don't we build one together? For crafting our target sticks, we're going to need a foam pool noodle, a 28-inch rattan cali stick, tape measure, colored duct tape, so I have blue and red, some 4mm nylon rope, which I have a great big ball of it right here. I'm going to put this back. We need a black marker. Any sort of permanent marker will do. I have a circular metal file. Drill press is optional. I went over and visited my neighbor Gord, and he drill pressed this little hoop for our hand wrist strap. We'll go over that in a little bit. And we also need scissors and a knife. Let's get started. Okay, so I'm going to be building my rattan cali stick into a target stick for our ultimate bow training, and this is going to be a great way that we can incorporate partner training safely. So when you guys see the finished product, it's going to look great. Okay, so to start things off, we're going to grab our pool noodle, and the way I like to do these is I'm going to measure out the tip of the target stick. So I'm going to grab my black marker and a measuring tape. I like to make them 4 inches. So I come across, just measuring 4 inches across. Put that to the side. Okay. I'm going to use my knife. I'm going to try and keep this as straight as possible. I don't want it angled because it'll make the target stick top, the part that the bow is hitting, look really weird. And it won't be an ideal target. So I'm trying to get it as straight as possible. I use a serrated knife. This is just like an old trashy one we've had for like 10 years. This is coming at you from my kitchen. Okay, so I'm just going to keep it as straight as possible. That looks pretty good. So the target stick is just going to fit inside like that. Now there's all kinds of play here, so we're going to add in some fillers so that it's nice and tight. It'll make it feel like a better target. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take about approximately 1 inch more, and I'm going to cut another piece. So it doesn't have to be exact, just about an inch, give or take. Okay, and I'm again going to try and keep it as straight as possible. I don't need my pool noodle at the moment. I'm just going to kind of set it off to the side over here. This little ring is what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it up into little pieces. I'm going to start with the pieces a little bit bigger. I'm going to cut them into a total of 6 pieces. I may need to make more, we'll see. It all depends on how tight it is against the target stick. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my pool noodle, slide it inside. Now I want to make sure that my handle, the hole for it, is on the opposite side because I don't want to build it over the hole that I just used my drill press for. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this piece and I'm going to slide it in here. Now, like I said, it's kind of moving all around and it's very loose. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these. I'm going to actually cut this one down a little bit more. I'm going to cut those so that they're a little bit more fine. And as what this is going to do, excuse me, is it's going to make it like really nice and tight. Okay. Don't tell my wife Sarah that I'm cutting on our granite without a cutting board. She'll lose her mind. Okay. So I'm just going to stick these in there, and I want it as tight as possible. So if they're bigger pieces, that's not necessarily a bad thing. You just want it so that they're fitting in there really tight. And all I do, guys, is I'm just stuffing it in. Okay, and I want it to be as tight as possible, okay? So just keep sticking those pieces in there, getting them really tight. I'm gonna grab an even bigger, fatter one and just stick it in there. As you can see, that's pretty good. I'm gonna grab another piece, fire it in there. There we go, that's pretty good. Now, if you guys will see on the tip here, I don't want it so that it's perfectly flush with the top of the pool noodle. I wanna push it down maybe like 1/4 of an inch, just enough space that I can fit one more of these little wedges on the top part. The reason I do that is just so that there's a little bit less feedback or kick when you're striking these with a partner. So we want it to be so that it's safe training for both the holder and the partner. So I like to always put that little top piece on and just drop the bow or the rattan stick, whatever it is, just like 1/4 of an inch. Okay, the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab my blue duct tape. Okay, so I'm gonna just eyeball this amount and I'm gonna pull it across. And is what I wanna do is I'm gonna wrap it around. You guys will see in 2 seconds. I'm gonna take my scissors. I like really nice sharp scissors for this. That cuts real nice. Those are our kitchen scissors. Don't tell Sarah about that one either. Okay, so I'm gonna put that on there and I'm gonna go very tightly across and I'm gonna press that against, just like that, okay? So I wanna make sure that that's really secure and firm, okay? I feel like I can even add probably a little bit more into this to get it even tighter. We want there to be as little play as possible on this. That's pretty good, okay? There's a slight bulge here, that's okay. It doesn't matter. Once we're done going through this, it's gonna be very, very secure on there. All I'm gonna do now is rinse and repeat. So I'm gonna keep continuing that process as I go through, and I'm gonna do the top part and then the bottom part individually. So this is very much like a patience type thing. When I'm doing it, I try and get it so that there's as few creases in the duct tape as possible. It's not gonna be perfect where it meets the rattan wood. I just wanna get it as good as possible so that it looks as good as possible, okay? So that one's not quite perfect. So I'm just kind of staggering it so it makes a T to start. Okay, so it intersects over like that. Okay, and as you guys can see, I've now got one going this way, one going across this way. Now all I'm gonna do is, again, rinse, repeat it so that there's no exposed pool noodle. Okay, I like using the large pool noodles because I don't have to mess around with any extra cuts or anything. Once we get into crafting sparring bows, we kind of have to reef it on there, but it's a really nice tight fit. Gonna do this again. Nice clean cut. Snip. Going across. Right now, guys, I feel like Mr. Dress Up. So I don't know if that's just a Canadian thing or not, but Mr. Dress Up would always have things in his tickle trunk and he would always build crafts. So I feel like I'm Mr. Dress Up right now. Only we're learning how to craft target sticks for sparring practice. Nice little tip there. Okay, and we're gonna do this side. Get it nice and tight. Try and get it so that there's no creases. Okay, now as you can see when I've gone through this one, the top is now completely covered. Now I'm gonna work on this bottom half. I'm gonna repeat that same process, only I'm gonna come down here and I'm gonna tuck it as tight in as I can get so that it's as crease-free as possible along the bottom. I'll warn you guys right now, it's gonna be a little bit messy on the bottom part just because of the way the duct tape goes around. It's still gonna be very, very secure. So, I'm gonna grab another cut. I came across this book and it was recommended to me by Sean Robinson and Sensei Sarah Hill. And it's called The Art and Science of Staff Fighting by Joe Verity. And he has like a detailed section on how to make these. So we're borrowing from him and using him as a resource for this, which I tip of the hat to Mr. Verity on how to do that, because I think this is just a fantastic idea on how to really maximize our training. Now, when I'm going along the bottom, I don't want to make T, I want to just overlap it so that the bow, sorry, not the bow, the target stick, I'm kind of going around in a circular motion. And if you guys can see, I'm pinching it in here as close as I can. Then I tighten it around the side. Then I put it on the bottom and I just kind of tighten it up. Okay, there's a little bit of creases down here, and that's okay. So if you'll notice, I'm now going circular across. Okay, so, and that's important that I do that because I'm actually going to save duct tape if I do it that way. We want to make sure that when we're going through this stuff that we have as high quality material as possible. The Cali sticks I'm using because they are very durable. They won't have as much feedback as say a hardwood stick would, and they're going to be a lot more durable than a hardwood stick would be as well. Okay, so I like the Cali sticks. They're going to be quite strong. I'm using really good duct tape. Okay, so if you build them to last, you'll only have to do this once. Okay, so make sure that you spend the extra couple bucks to get the higher quality material, and then you're not going to have to rebuild down the road. Okay, this one might be a little bit longer, but that's okay. So I'm going to go, and I just keep going around in that same circular motion, and I always overlap every time I make one of these new segments. Okay, so as you guys can see, I've got a little bit left to go over, so I'm probably going to do 2, maybe 3 more as I go around, and then we'll make them look pretty. Hold still. Okay. Another piece. I got this duct tape off Amazon. It was like, I don't know, 10 bucks for the red, which was like a double roll. This one was like, I don't know, 10 bucks, and it was a single roll. They were kind of expensive for duct tape. I liked that it was colored, and I liked that it's really high durability. I've used these ones before for building sparring bows, and they're very, very durable. They don't tear, and they withstand quite a bit of impact without tearing. Okay, so I haven't had to rebuild any of my sparring bows, and we've been using them for years now. Okay, we're almost done this section. Get another piece. I'm just eyeballing all of these guys as we go. I just want to make sure that you don't have too big of segments, because you don't want the tape going like too far down on the target stick, because it'll look weird. And it'll also be kind of deceptive or misleading for the person striking it, because they're going to want to hit the blue. So you want as little blue on the bottom or on the top or underneath this part here as possible. Okay, so as you can see, I've gone through, I've completely covered all of it. Okay, and it's basically up and down. So, but now is what I'm going to do to give it an extra level of reinforcement, is I'm going to go wrapping it around in single loops, and that's going to give it like a little bit more of a clean, polished look, and it'll also make it stronger. So we want to make sure that we do that. And like I said, we want to build them to last so that we're not going to have to do this several times. And I make it quite tight, and I do that with my sparring bows also. And the reason I do it for the sparring bows is because if you make impact with somebody, there should be consequence to it. So it shouldn't just be like this real soft shot. The padding will help mitigate how much it hurts, but you should still feel it. Okay, so I'm just going to cut this one across. So as you can see, now I'm going this way around the target stick. It's getting quite secure in there. So I'm going to do one here, and then I'm going to wrap around this part. And it's going to look really good. And then we can kind of start working on the handle a little bit. So all I do is I just get this one. I find that for these ones, I only cut them 4 inches. So with the duct tape, I only need to do 2 rows. And if you find you get a crease, just kind of lift it up a little bit, just like that. And then go back. We're going to get nice and tight. There, that's pretty good. Okay, I'm going to cut that, snip. Okay, so now this is coming along really nicely. So the top is pretty nice. Going around is pretty nice too, and it's starting to feel quite secure. So I'm going to tape this handle part now just as another level of reinforcement to make sure that this doesn't come dislodged. When we're using the target sticks, it's just a real good accuracy drill when you can hold them and have a partner striking. For this piece, I don't know what that is, maybe about 4 inches. I just take it and I put it as close as I can to the top of that handle. And then all I'm going to do is very tightly, I'm just wrapping it around just beneath that foam pool noodle. Okay, so we've got all this tape coming down and it's in a fairly long piece, so that's going to make it quite strong. It'll be able to withstand quite a bit of punishment, which is what we want. We want it so that these suckers last. Okay, this should be our last piece. Oh, that one didn't snip perfectly. Off to the side. And then I'm going to go down here. And then on these ones too. Another reason why I like to do this part, I'll show you guys in a sec. Just get it nice and tight. Coming around and then just like this. It just gives it like a really nice clean look. It's very secure, very sturdy. It's not moving around at all. Now, I'm going to take my file. Now, it's got an attachment to put it into a drill. I am not a mechanical guy. I have a drill, but I'm not going to do that because you don't actually need to. So after my neighbor drill pressed this for me, we went probably about close to 1 inch from the heel, give or take. Just want to get it as close to the middle as possible. The reason I'm putting the wrist straps in is for a safety feature, okay? So I'm just going to go like this, and I want to make sure that I get any of the splinters away, just so that you don't risk getting a sliver, anything like that. And then I just go kind of like in a bigger circle, scuff it up a little bit. I notice that there's a piece there that needs, okay, and then I just kind of check around this. There's a little bit more that needs some. That's pretty good. Okay, so that's nice and smooth now, okay? Just gonna set that to the side. Now, I have some pre-cut nylon ropes, okay? So I'm gonna measure this out and I'm gonna tell you guys what I use for length, okay? So mine are about 26, 27 inches. It doesn't need to be super exact, okay? So what you would do is you're just gonna grab just some string, you're gonna pull it out, you're gonna measure. I'm gonna set this guy to the side. I'm just gonna measure. So I'm gonna go here to here. Let's go about 27 inches. If it's a little bit longer, really doesn't matter because we can cut it anyways later. So I'm just going to go here, snip. Okay, so now I've got my string. So I'm using nylon rope. Again, you can get this stuff for super cheap and you can get it so that it's pretty high quality too. It's going to be very strong. Now, I'm going to make a knot. So I don't know how to make knots. So what I did is I Googled how to make a knot, and the most practical knot, apparently one of the most practical knots, is a bow knot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to loop it through the hole. Okay, coming across. Let me see if I can give you guys as good an angle as possible.